Hi, I'm the Rogue Reviewer. I've just come back from the cinema. So tonight's film was Scream 7. So I'm going to give you my thoughts of the film and my overall score. So here we go. So Scream 7 picks up with Sydney Prescott. She's moved to a new quiet town, very similar to the Woodsboro town that she grew up in. She now has a family, a husband, some daughters, a teenage daughter, which is a very similar age to what she was in the first Scream film, who she's trying to protect from the world. However, a familiar face turns up again in Ghostface to cause mayhem and chaos and murder all around her. So she's desperately trying to protect all of her loved ones while trying to work out who is behind the mask and who has brought this terror back into her life once again. So some familiar faces turn up as per usual from the Scream film. So you've got Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox. You also have Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy and Mason Gooding as Chad from the previous films. So they're kind of working with Gail Weathers to report on what's happening in this new town with the murders, and while trying to solve who is doing it at the same time as said everyone's a suspect. Sydney Prescott is trying to desperately use her knowledge of how to fight Ghostface to sort of train her daughter to keep her alive. Anyway, I don't want to give too much away or spoil too many things. So I have to say, going into this film, I was quite hyped to see another Scream film. It'd been a while since I've seen one in the cinema. It had a good opening intro as well. I felt very kind of Scream-esque, but it kind of died after the first kind of scene. It went into what sort of Sydney was up to now, and I was kind of a bit bored. It just felt very like retreads ground. We know kind of her story, and it just felt just very repetitive of what we've already kind of seen in the kind of Scream world. A lot of the characters were, it almost felt just carbon copies of the previous Scream movies. None of the characters were that interesting. They were just literal copies of Billy Lomas and Stu and some of the other characters we've had through the Scream kind of franchise. No one felt very original. The story didn't really feel very original. Um, the daughter was kind of okay as Tatum. I mean, they even she felt a bit like they were trying to copy Sydney um, Sydney Prescott's character and try to make her into the new Sydney Prescott. It just felt very rehashed and rebooted with the sort of legacy characters kind of just there. Neve Campbell was okay. She was, I mean, she's played this role quite a few times, so she could probably play it with her eyes shut now at this point. But it was very, yeah, it was hard to follow. There was some good horror jump scares and some really gory scenes as well. Those are probably the best parts of the film. Is like when Ghostface did actually turn up, but the bits in between really dragged out this movie. I'm going to give a bit of a spoiler away now. There was a direction this film could have gotten in, and it would have been quite interesting. I'm not sure if people would have seen that Matthew Lillard had returned. They could have done something with this character. I think would have made the film much more interesting. Instead, they kind of, I don't know if they bottled it or they wasn't quite sure how to bring this character back properly, and they went with a different angle. Every scene that he was in was fantastic. I loved seeing him back in that universe, and I think they should really had a one-on-one scene with Sydney Prescott. I think that could have actually made this film unique and interesting and kind of brought the film kind of a full circle. Unfortunately, with this film, the antagonists were just, I just didn't really care who they were. Their story was quite weak if you compare them to previous sort of Ghostface murderers. They tried to bring in some cameos that I don't know. I didn't really like the other cameos that they brought in. It just didn't really feel very authentic to the plot. Um, I just felt they weren't sure who Ghostface was, and they were just trying to keep you guessing all the way through. But it just didn't turn into a very sort of clever, thought out sort of storyline. Um, so yeah, overall a big disappointment from Scream 7. Okay, so onto my score. I'm gonna give this a very disappointing 5.4 out of 10. Yeah, this one didn't really live up to the previous Scream films that I've seen over the years, or not anywhere close, to be honest. Yeah, so if you fancy watching another Scream film that's not quite as good as the rest, go check it out. If you do like it and you've seen it, leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And please subscribe, like, and follow. And I'll see you on the next one.